Hello everyone, welcome to our lesson. Today's lesson is human rights. We are going to talk about the topics: definitions of human rights, Universal Declaration of Human Rights violation, examples of human rights violations, freedom and disadvantages of freedom. Before we're going to talk about the definition of human rights, let me introduce the video clip that you learn from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This one. Are you ready? Let's get started.
Let us, as members of the United Nations, conscious of our own shortcomings and imperfections, join our efforts in good faith to live up to this high standard.
Todos os seres humanos podem invocar os direitos e as liberdades proclamados na presente declaração, sem distinção alguma.
Everyone has the right to education. Education shall be free, at least in the elementary and fundamental stages.
Todos son iguales ante la ley y tienen sin distinción derecho a igual protección de la ley. Брак может быть заключен только при свободном и полном согласии обеих вступающих в брак сторон.
Tout individu a droit à une nationalité. Nul ne peut être arbitrairement privé de sa nationalité ni du droit à changer de nationalité.
凡受刑事控告者，在未经获得辩护上所需的一切保证的公开审判而依法证实有罪以前，有权被视为无罪。
لكل فرد الحق في الحياة والحرية وسلامة شخصه.
प्रत्येक व्यक्ति को विचार और उसकी अभिव्यक्ति की स्वतंत्रता का अधिकार है.
Watu wote wamezaliwa huru, hadhi na haki zao ni sawa. Wote wamejaliwa akili na dhamiri, hivyo yapaswa watendeane vilivyo.
This is the video clip represents what you can get the idea about human right. So what can you observe or notice or learn from this clip? We can learn that any language we speak, anywhere we live, any nationalities we are, we do have our rights to live, right? And there are many keywords that are mentioned which relate to human rights. I'm not sure how many words or vocabularies or terms you can catch up. But let's talk about it. But first of all, I think many of you have heard the name of UN or United Nations, right? Let me talk about this organization a little bit. The UN or United Nations is a center of harmonizing the actions of nations. Many nations need help from the UN. Its function is to maintain or promote peace and security, friendly relations among nations, and international cooperation. Not only work with only one or two countries, but globally. And under the UN, there are many organizations. And one of the organization is United Nations Human Rights Council. The Council is an intergovernmental organization within the United Nations includes 47 states, which are responsible for the promotion and the protection of all human rights around the world. And keywords that we learn from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights from the clip are as given: education, discrimination, marriage, nationality, law, liberty and security, opinion, expressions, and dignity. All of them are keywords, are all related to human rights. So these are the definitions of human rights. The first one, human rights are inherent to all human beings. And human beings are entitled to get the rights without discrimination or violation. It means that we all have rights since we were born. And what are human rights? Human rights include race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or right to life and liberty, right to work and education, freedom of slavery, and freedom of opinion and expression. So, let me repeat the definition of the human right again. From all keywords, we can say that human rights means recognizing the value of each person, ensuring their dignity, safety and health, equal working conditions, and promoting diversity. And on the screen, these are 30 articles of Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So we have a right to equality. We have right to own property in number 7. We have right to education on article number 26. We have right freedom of state or personal influence in the above rights, which is the 30th article, the last one. So, but even there are 30 articles for human rights, but still there is an inequality in our society. As you can experience, as you can hear, as you can see, as you can learn from yourself experience or from someone else's experience, from the news, from any other incidents. That is called human rights violations. What is human rights violation? It is a state of not being protected. It is a state of being disregarded or violated. And there are two terms or keywords which is significant to violation, that is powerful or powerless. I can show you the examples of human rights violation in many units of the society. Start from the first one. The violence occurred within a family, which is the smallest unit in our society. It can happen between husband and wife, son and father, mother and son, mother and daughter, or even grandparents, grandson. Next one. This violation takes place in a workplace, so it is called sexual harassment. Male or female worker are violated by colleagues, by boss, by co-worker. Children's rights. It is quite similar, but not exactly the same with the domestic violence, because children's rights can happen in any units in our society. It can happen in public. It can happen in family, at school. Children has no right to speak because the adults think that they are too young to speak. Or even the rights of movement and photo or picture on social media. I think you have heard about it. And then gender harassment. It is kind of cultural human rights. In some culture, believe that female is passive. They have no right to speak or to express their opinion or to report any harmful activity that they are faced. Health and economy. In fact, if we talk about human rights, we should have the same health and economy conditions. Between the poor and the rich, between wealthy and poverty, but still exist in our society. Human rights in human trafficking, labor, immigrant, workers, or illegal labor. Human rights in same-sex marriage. Human rights in civil and politics. Human rights in racism or nationality or the skin or the color of the skin, which we can see especially in the American society. There are many news about the Asian were violated in the society at the train station recently. If you watch the news, so again, even there are 30 articles for human rights, but still there are many or plenty of issues happening in all over the world about human rights violation. Do you agree? Yes. So it means that when people are violated, they usually ask for freedom, right? Call for freedom. So freedom is the power or right to act, to speak, or to think as one wants without barrier or obligation. So once when someone are obliged or are not allowed to do something, to express the idea, to act or to speak, they are violated and they call for their freedom. They call for their right. As we can see from social media, news, there are many protesters on the roads, on the street, calling for their rights. There are criminals, there are crimes. So, this can be the problem about having too much of freedom. According to Boyd Rice from Life Hack Quotes, I chose this quote because I think it is absolutely true that right now there are so many problems happening in our society, in our community. And part of the reasons are we have too much freedom. The quote says, I think this society suffers so much from too much freedom, too many rights that allow people to be irresponsible. It means that when each of us think we have our own rights, so we can do anything that we want without taking any responsible. I can show you the example of having too much freedom in our society. The first one, disadvantages of freedom of speech on social media. I think everyone knows it. And some of you might be a victim of freedom of speech. You can type, you can use any words that you want without thinking. Yes, that is your right of idea, your right of express, but you do not realize that. You forget to think about other people's feeling. You use the strong and used word which become a hate speech, and that cause cyberbullying. Hate speech on social media has increased, especially among teenagers. It has been linked to a global violence in terms of race, ethnicity, and ancestry. So you have to be careful with it. Next one, disadvantages of freedom of expression on politics. As we know, instead of having a harmony in society, live happily with everyone in a community. But when there is the expression on politics happen, it can cause violence and crime. Next one, disadvantages of freedom of press or media or social media. It is true that press or media right now, they can present the truth. We can explore the truth. But in contrast, some situations can also violate privacy security of the victim on crimes, for example, and it can cause a cybercrime, and it is usually unsuitable for children. Children can imitate a wrong, harmful, or bad behavior which are represented through the press or through social media. So, not only rights that we have, but we need to think about rights of others. This sentence, freedom, thus implies that individuals have the right to lead their life as they wish, as long as they respect the equal rights of others. If we live our life according to the right that we have, at the same time, we need to respect the equal rights or the others' rights as well. If not, as we know, there are many controversial issues happening in our society. So I think we can start from each of us, which is the smallest unit of our society. We learn about human rights and we have to know, understand, and use it in a proper way. We can bring a peaceful society and we can live our lives happily with respecting and understanding our own rights and others' rights. Now, for a summary of the lesson. Our course, citizenship and human rights education. They are about learning to live together and respect each other. There are only two keywords: learning to live and respect each other. It is also about knowing and understanding your rights in order to play an active role in decisions that you concern. This is the end of our lesson. So I hope you will learn and understand your rights and others' rights. Right here is our classwork. Our classwork for today is I would like you to write the English definition of these words. How many words? 12, right? All of the 12 words are from the lessons, and I think they are all important. So please look the definition up from the online dictionary and write the definition. You have to submit it in class, and this will be your class attendance. You can use a file that I attached in our class assignment and then send it back. Or if you can write, you can do. That is not a problem. You can write on your notebook and you can take picture and you attach the picture back to me. Submit it. Submit your classwork in your section and your section instructor will grade you. But remember that you have to finish it by 6 p.m. at the end of our class today. So that's it for our class. I hope to see you soon again. Thank you very much for your cooperation. Goodbye, everyone.